We're getting ready to go on the Gibb River Road, and before we go there's a few things we need to do to get the caravan ready to tackle what's going to be a great adventure, but one that is risky and that a lot of people don't tackle because they're worried about damage to their car or their caravan. In terms of protection of the caravan, it actually starts here at the car. And when we first set off on our trip, we put in these rock tamers. So the rock tamers have been great in terms of stopping the rocks coming back and hitting the caravan, and we even bought this additional netting which goes between the rock tamers from the local Australian distributor, and that has done an A1 job. Let's have a look at the front of the van. So we're 6 months into our trip, and you can see here these are dusty, but there's not a lot of damage. We haven't had rocks pinging up and damaging either the bikes or the front of the caravan, so the rock tamers have really done their job. So this is under the front of the van. You can see we've got a lot of pipes, but they're all tucked up well under the caravan flooring here. And as a result, with the rock tamers, there's been no damage, and I don't think there's any real risk from the car flicking rocks up to damage these pipes. We have done a number of rocky roads from the Flinders Ranges to other places around most of Western Australia. So we're going to concentrate down here behind the wheels. We've got a dual axle, and you can see it comes with the standard mud flaps. So I'm really worried about rocks coming up from here and hitting in the back. And in the back here we've got our waste pipe. I've seen this break for a number of people. It is PVC, it's quite brittle, so some rocks can really do some damage, so we might do some padding on top of this. But really what we need to protect are these water tanks. This is our lifeblood as we travel along the Gibb River Road. So there's one at the front, which as I mentioned should be safe, but these two at the rear are at risk from rock damage. So if a rock comes up from this wheel, hits the little grommet at the top up here, I could lose all my water in the middle of the Gibb, and that's no good for anyone. For this part of the job, what we need is some assortments of cable ties. We've got a Stanley knife, we've got some scissors, I've got some masking tape if required, but the key item here is our trusty pool noodles. So we've picked these up for $3 or $4 from Kmart, and what we're going to do is we're going to slice these down the middle. We're going to slice these down the middle here, and we're going to wrap them around our pipes, use cable ties to clamp them around the pipe to give the pipes a level of protection from rocks spraying up. To start off, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work out how long of the pool noodle I'm going to require. So I'm going to put this all the way along this pipe back to here. So I've just worked out a rough amount, and I'm going to cut my pool noodle just here and start trimming it up. I've got my length, so I'm just going to put a bit of a cut through here, cut it in half. Every kid's worst nightmare. Hey Jed.
No.
There we go. So I've got that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a split all the way down the length of the pool noodle, creating a channel for it to slip over the pipe. Might take a couple of runs through with the knife to get through to the middle. Once you're through, you're able to just open that up. You can see I've now got the ability to wrap that around my pipe. I've got it up into position. I'm going to cable tie it around this firm part to hold it on, and then I'm going to bend it around the pipe to keep it in position. There you go. So we've got the cable ties on and we're wrapped up around the pipe, so that one's okay. And now I'm going to continue to do that for all the pipes. Next thing we've got to do is find where dust could come into the van. So this is one of the lower air vents we've got in our van. There's a lot of aeration in our van, so we're quite comfortable that if it was a gas issue, it will be able to get out. But at least for traveling, we need to find a way to block the dust coming into the van, something that we can reverse later. So I'm going to take this van off, have a look at it, and we might use masking tape or something else to block it whilst we're traveling. This part of the job, what we need is a drill or a screwdriver if you want to do it by hand, appropriate bits to be able to undo, and some masking tape. You can use some plastic, you can use some other things to help block the vents, but we're going to use these today. So here we've got our vent, so we're just going to open this up and see what we've got to deal with behind the vent. Okay, that's all them done. Let's have a look. Okay, so you can see that goes straight outside the van, so we need to block this to stop that red dust, which you can already see is coming into the van. I'm just going to get my masking tape and apply that along the top of this grate and then put it back. By doing it this way, it means that we can just take that off at any time and you won't see any messy parts inside the caravan because it's behind the grate. Look at that, one more, almost fit perfectly too, didn't it, Jed?
Yep.
Get it into the same spot. Go. Don't have to make extra holes, just use the existing ones. The other one we've got here is the fridge vent. It's wide open, you can actually see straight in there, but we can't block the fridge's operation. So I've got to consider what we do. Now, if you're like me, you're going to end up with a lot of these around. We've got too many of them. So we're going to use this as our filter on our air vent. Corporate colours, I guess it matches the pool noodles. And what I've done now is I've just trimmed this up so it fits across the back of these vents. So that's going to give me a bit of filter. It's still going to let some air flow through and hopefully stop some of the dust coming into the van. So I'm just unscrewing these screws, so one each corner, and I'm going to use these to fix my new vent back on, so that way it's nice and secure in place and it won't rattle off on the gib with this extra bit of padding around the outside. You can see that the dust that has got in here already, we haven't even done the gib river yet, so this should hopefully help a lot. So that's back on now. You can see in there we've got the vent cover nice and secure with these screws, and no dust is going to be getting up inside there. So we've done the outsides and now we're going to look at the inside. So the shower screen's one of the first things we need to worry about. So I've taken the shower screen out and I'm probably going to take both of them out. Now, we've heard of people who take them out and just run shower curtains, but the problem we've got in here is I don't know where we can actually store them. So I'm just having a look to take them out now and possibly buy a cheap shower curtain that I put across just for the Gib River Road, and then put these back once we get to our destination. Other thing you need to do in your bathroom is put a tea towel and elastic band around it to stop that getting falling off and then doing damage to your shower, internal shower. So we're just going to use the bath mat to put that over top, elastic band that over top so it doesn't become a projectile while we're driving along. And then again with these shower screens, a bit of tape or take them all off altogether. I've got the two pieces of glass out, so these are the two removable parts. And so I've got a couple of options here. One, we can store them on the kids' bunk beds while we travel, which is option one. Option two is I can wrap it in a blanket and put it snugged up against the window so it's nice and safe while traveling. I don't think this will fit under our bed, so we're just going through a couple of different options at the moment and where to store them. One we've got as a tip is this top of the shower. So we were catching up with the Wandering Steels recently, and they said when they actually did a rocky road, this ended up broken. So when we travel, what we're going to do is we're going to place a tea towel across it to keep it secure. In fact, we're going to be using our tea towels and towels for all of our cutlery, crockery and things like that to make sure it's not all jumping around. So we've got plenty of towels floating around, and so that'll actually help keep it all nice and secure. Now, the real secret to our attack on the Gib River Road is these. These are the all-weather, all-season hatches. And these are going to help us create positive airflow as we travel along the Gib. You notice that they can be open, but they've also got permanent openings at the top, so we can get positive airflow coming into the caravan, which will hopefully help keep the dust out coming in from the lower locations, like that step where that little hatch is that we talked about earlier. The last one is your hot water service. As you drive along, you're going to get dust going inside here. You can see it's already red. I'm just going to put some tape across it to try to limit the dust getting in. You need to remember to make sure the hot water service is off because it needs to come back out before you turn it back on for ventilation. So if you do get dust in there, it means your hot water service won't fire and you're going to have to clean it all out.
We're just coming up to the end of the sealed section here. So we're going to air down in this section, even though further up there is another section of bitumen apparently. But it's best to air down for this dirt section here.
Alright, here we go. Gib River Road. So we've made it into camp just after sunset. We're just taking out some of the protections we put in place for the fridge and the hot water service so airflow can go back into the van. We'll redo those before we leave, but all in all, everything's fine. The van's in good nick and it's done the job keeping the dust out. Moment of truth, we're just going to see if the hot water service fires up after removing the tape and keeping the dust out. So to get the dust out, we've got hot water. Else in the van was a-okay, so we don't have any other issues around the van. Everything hung in there pretty well. Not a lot of dust that's come in. The bottom step kept all the dust out, and throughout we've got a pretty clean caravan still. Everything's in place. Out the van for anything that may have gone wrong, and we've got a bit of dust that's got in here through this bottom window. So there's not much, but you can see it's blown in. So it hasn't sealed properly. You can see a bit of the red stuff up there. So on our next trip, we're going to put some tape around the outside of that lower window to keep that dust out. Going up from there, when we have a look at the top window, there's a bit in there as well. So that's the middle bunk. So we've got a bit of red in there as well. So we'll do the same. Only a little bit of dust has sort of got in through there. Coming up to the top bunk, I think that one should be all right. It's much higher. We've got the window in. It hasn't made his bed yet. Bit of dust up there as well, actually. So we might have to seal those just to stop that dust coming from the car and the caravan up into the van.